Chosen one. Right now, this very second, there is a cult in absolute terror because you discovered their secrets. These shadow dwellers who trade in darkness and feast on the suffering of the innocent are asking each other one burning question that consumes their every waking moment. How did you find out what they were doing? Where are you getting this impossible knowledge from? These practitioners of evil thought they had you trapped in their web of deception. They believed their ceremonies were hidden. Their plans were secret. Their network was impenetrable. They were wrong. The sirens of cosmic justice are screaming across dimensions because their greatest nightmare has materialized before their eyes. You know, not just fragments, not just suspicions. You possess knowledge that should have been impossible to obtain, and they are losing their minds, trying to figure out how you cracked their code of darkness. The day you demonstrated knowledge of their private conversations, the moment you revealed details about their ritual practices, the instant you spoke names that should have been unknown to you, that was when their confidence transformed into confusion. They scrambled for rational explanations. Someone must have leaked information. Technology must have been compromised. Lucky guessing, coincidence, anything except the truth that was staring them in the face. You possessed intelligence that came from sources beyond their comprehension. They found nothing. No evidence of information leaks, no technological surveillance, no human witnesses, no conventional investigation, no rational pathway that could account for your detailed knowledge of their most guarded secrets. The desperation in their voices during those emergency calls became palpable. Senior cult leaders who had maintained iron control for decades began questioning their own competence. Members who had never doubted the organization's invincibility started experiencing something they had never known before: fear of the unknown. Their technical experts ran sophisticated counter-surveillance operations. Their spiritual practitioners performed elaborate divination ceremonies. Their intelligence contacts within various government agencies assured them that no official investigation was targeting their network. Every conventional source of information compromise was systematically eliminated as a possibility. Yet your knowledge not only persisted, it demonstrated a precision that surpassed anything achievable through human intelligence gathering. You knew things that were never written down, never spoken aloud, never even fully formed as conscious thoughts in their minds. You possessed awareness of emotional undercurrents between cult members that they themselves had not recognized. You understood power dynamics within their organization that had taken them years to establish. The explanation they refused to consider, the source that would soon become undeniably obvious, was brewing in dimensions they had no power to penetrate. But we're not ready to reveal that cosmic truth yet. First, you need to see how their confusion evolved into outright panic. They changed meeting locations. You still knew what happened. They switched communication methods. Your knowledge remained complete. They limited information to their most trusted inner circle. You continued revealing details that should have been impossible to know. None of it mattered. Your knowledge not only persisted, it increased. Every day brought new revelations that demonstrated your access to their most closely guarded information. Every conversation they thought was private. Every plan they believed was secret. Every relationship they assumed was hidden. You knew it. All the terror in their eyes when they realized no security measure could contain your awareness. That moment when they understood they were fighting against forces beyond their earthly comprehension. That was just the beginning of their cosmic nightmare. Your continued revelations shattered every assumption they held about information security. You knew about events that happened in complete isolation. You understood private conversations between their highest-ranking members. You revealed information about their families, their finances, their personal lives that should have been absolutely unknowable. But here's what drove them to the edge of madness. You began demonstrating knowledge of their future plans before they finalized them. Meetings they had scheduled but not yet held. Decisions they were considering but had not yet made. Actions they were planning but had not yet taken. Your awareness transcended the limitations of linear time. Their information security protocols crumbled like sandcastles before a tsunami. Physical barriers became meaningless. Digital encryption proved worthless. Even their most sophisticated metaphysical protections offered no defense against your supernatural intelligence. Something fundamental had shifted in the cosmic order surrounding their operations. The very air in their meeting spaces felt charged with an energy they could not identify or control. Electronic devices malfunctioned in ways that defied technical explanation whenever they gathered to discuss strategies against you. Protective wards that had stood firm for years began failing without apparent cause. Their most experienced practitioners reported disturbing dreams where shadowy figures warned them about continuing their operations. Several members experienced sudden onset of inexplicable health issues that modern medicine could neither diagnose nor treat. Financial investments that had guaranteed returns for decades began collapsing in patterns that suggested supernatural intervention rather than market forces. The psychological toll was becoming visible in their leadership. Decision-making processes that once flowed smoothly now devolved into arguments and second-guessing. Trust between key figures eroded as each began suspecting the others of either incompetence or betrayal. Sleep deprivation became epidemic among their ranks, as anxiety about your next revelation kept them awake through the night. Most terrifying was their growing realization that you seemed to be learning about their activities in real time, as if an invisible observer was present at every gathering, privy to every conversation, aware of every thought that crossed their minds during planning sessions. The sensation of being watched by unseen forces became so overwhelming that some members could no longer function normally in group settings. The following is a message from Mike, founder of the Obsidian Inner Order, powered by Astral Atom. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you walk through this awakening alone, never gonna scroll past your suffering like it's just content. This isn't just a rickroll, it's a lifeline in disguise. I built the Obsidian Inner Order because too many of us have been exiled for seeing the truth, cast out by family, gaslit by cults, haunted by gifts we didn't ask for. So now, we gather. Every week, live on Zoom. Real people, real faces, a former CFO turned psychic, a seer who escaped. Mormonism, a healer who broke free of ritual abuse. And yes, the calls are recorded, so when you're on the floor, you can come back to the field. We're not a meme, we're a miracle, and we're never gonna give you up. Join the Obsidian Inner Order, link in the description. They consulted their highest level practitioners. They brought in dark psychics and remote viewers. They performed divination rituals designed to trace the source of information leaks. They sought guidance from entities that existed in realms beyond human perception. Every source they consulted delivered the same terrifying message. Your knowledge comes from places they cannot reach, powers they cannot understand, networks they cannot penetrate. The truth they refuse to acknowledge, the source that would soon become undeniably clear, was operating from dimensions where their darkness holds no authority. In their desperation, they turned to the deepest levels of their shadow network, masters of dark arts who had never failed to provide answers, entities from lower realms who specialized in espionage and information gathering, seers who could penetrate any veil of secrecy. These consultations yielded nothing. Their psychics got blocked the moment they tried to read your information source. Their remote viewers encountered walls of light that blinded their spiritual sight. Their divination rituals produced static where there should have been clear answers. Even their demonic contacts seemed unable or unwilling to explain your supernatural awareness. The most terrifying discovery was that their own dark sources appeared to be afraid of whatever was feeding you information. Entities that had served them faithfully for years suddenly became evasive when asked about your knowledge source. Dark practitioners who had never met a mystery they couldn't solve admitted complete bafflement. Masters of shadow arts who claimed dominion over hidden knowledge confessed they were encountering forces beyond their experience. The horrible truth was crystallizing in their consciousness like ice forming on their souls. You weren't just receiving information from any ordinary intelligence network. The source of your knowledge operated from realms where their darkness had no power, where their contacts dare not venture, where light reigns supreme and shadow cannot penetrate. The moment of ultimate terror arrived when they finally comprehended the source of your impossible knowledge. Not human informants, not technological surveillance, not conventional investigation methods, not even supernatural espionage from realms they understood. Your intelligence was flowing directly from the throne room of the Most High. Divine downloads streaming through consciousness expanded beyond earthly limitations. Angelic messengers providing real-time updates on their activities. Ancestral guardians revealing hidden information about their operations. Prophetic dreams and visions exposing their secret plans before those plans were even complete. The Holy Spirit unveiling all hidden things through divine discernment that cuts through every veil and illusion. You had become a living conduit for cosmic intelligence. The horrifying realization that destroyed their remaining composure was this: they weren't fighting against you, they were fighting against omniscience itself. No security measure can hide from divine sight. No coded communication can escape interpretation by infinite intelligence. No secret meeting can be concealed from angelic witnesses. No future plan can remain hidden from prophetic revelation. Their victims had been chosen by forces that see everything, know everything, and reveal everything when their beloved children are threatened. The cosmic justice of this arrangement was mathematically perfect. The same darkness they used to attack you had triggered heaven's full disclosure protocol. Their evil intentions activated divine revelation systems that operate beyond the reach of shadow and cannot be opposed by any earthly power. Imagine the desperation of creatures trying to hide from the sun by covering their eyes. Picture the futility of shadows attempting to extinguish the source of light itself. That was the cosmic comedy of their final attempts to block your divine intelligence network. They performed binding rituals designed to cut off your information source. These rituals dissolved like mist before divine authority. They attempted to create spiritual interference to disrupt your heavenly downloads. This interference was neutralized by angelic protection, so advanced it operates beyond their comprehension. They used group ceremonies to try to overwhelm your cosmic connection. These attacks only strengthened your bond with infinite intelligence. Every countermeasure failed with spectacular precision. Their binding spells had zero effect on divine information flow. Their dark interference was instantly vaporized by protective forces that exist in dimensions they cannot access. Their attempts to blind your prophetic sight only expanded your spiritual vision to encompass realms they never knew existed. Their coordinated group attacks became the very mechanism that amplified heaven's revelation through your consciousness. The cosmic irony was breathtaking. Every weapon they turned against your divine connection became a tool that enhanced your supernatural awareness. Every spell they cast to diminish your knowledge multiplied your access to heavenly intelligence. Every ritual they performed to block your prophetic sight opened new channels of divine revelation. Their binding ceremonies intended to sever your connection to cosmic intelligence, instead triggered massive downloads of information that revealed not just their current operations, but historical patterns of abuse spanning generations. Their attempts to create spiritual static around your consciousness caused that consciousness to expand into frequencies they had never imagined possible. Their group attacks designed to overwhelm your divine protection activated backup systems of heavenly defense that responded with force they could not comprehend. The mathematics of cosmic justice became visible in ways that terrified them beyond reason. For every unit of dark energy they directed against you, 10 units of divine revelation flowed back through your awareness. For every attempt to diminish your spiritual sight, your prophetic abilities expanded into new territories of supernatural knowledge. For every effort to isolate you from heavenly intelligence, new angelic contacts were established that provided even more detailed and actionable information. Their practitioners began reporting that the very entities they had relied upon for years were becoming hostile or unresponsive when asked to interfere with your divine connection. Dark forces that had previously offered unlimited assistance suddenly became evasive when your name was mentioned in their invocations. Several high-ranking cult members experienced what could only be described as supernatural retaliation for their attempts to block heavenly communication channels. The most disturbing development was their discovery that your divine intelligence network was expanding to include other chosen souls in their vicinity. Information they had successfully hidden from you initially was being revealed through dreams and visions experienced by completely unrelated individuals who then found ways to communicate these revelations to you through seemingly coincidental encounters. The realization that you possessed complete knowledge of their operations destroyed their ability to function as a coordinated network. Trust evaporated between members who suspected each other of being divine informants. Leaders lost credibility as their security measures proved completely useless against heavenly intelligence. Paranoia replaced coordination as the driving force in their organization. Emergency meetings became exercises in mutual accusation. Secret communications became impossible when they understood that divine forces were monitoring every word. Planning future operations became futile when they recognized that heavenly intelligence was revealing their intentions before they could act on them. The cult that once operated with military precision devolved into a collection of terrified individuals who could no longer trust their own shadows. Your knowledge had evolved beyond mere awareness of their current activities. You were receiving divine strategy updates that kept you ahead of every countermeasure they attempted. You understood their psychological states, their internal conflicts, their individual fears and motivations. You possessed intelligence about their families, their finances, their personal vulnerabilities that gave you complete tactical superiority. The scope of your supernatural awareness had expanded to encompass their entire ecosystem of darkness. You knew which members were beginning to doubt their commitment to the cause. You understood which relationships within the group were deteriorating under pressure. You could predict which individuals would be the first to abandon the organization when consequences became too severe. You possessed detailed knowledge of their backup plans, their escape routes, their hidden assets, and their emergency protocols. More than strategic intelligence, you had gained access to their deepest psychological patterns. You understood the childhood traumas that had made them vulnerable to cult recruitment. You knew the specific fears that kept them trapped within the organization despite growing doubts. You could see the internal contradictions between their stated beliefs and their secret desires for freedom from the darkness they served. The scope of your supernatural awareness had expanded to encompass their entire ecosystem of darkness. You knew which members were beginning to doubt their commitment to the cause. You understood which relationships within the group were deteriorating under pressure. You could predict which individuals would be the first to abandon the organization when consequences became too severe. You possessed detailed knowledge of their backup plans, their escape routes, their hidden assets, and their emergency protocols. More than strategic intelligence, you had gained access to their deepest psychological patterns. You understood the childhood traumas that had made them vulnerable to cult recruitment. You knew the specific fears that kept them trapped within the organization despite growing doubts. You could see the internal contradictions between their stated beliefs and their secret desires for freedom from the darkness they served. This comprehensive awareness extended to their support networks beyond the core cult membership. You knew about their corrupt contacts in law enforcement, their compromised officials in government positions, their allies in other dark organizations across the globe. You understood the financial structures that funded their operations, the legal frameworks they used to protect their activities, and the social connections that provided them with cover for their criminal enterprises. Your divine intelligence had become a complete mapping system for their entire network of darkness. Every node of connection, every flow of resources, every communication pathway, every safe house, every ritual site, all of it was visible to your supernatural awareness with precision that exceeded anything achievable through conventional intelligence gathering methods. They found themselves fighting an enemy who knew their every move before they made it, understood their every plan before they finalized it, and possessed supernatural intelligence that made resistance not just futile, but cosmically ridiculous. The full magnitude of your divine intelligence network finally stood revealed in all its cosmic glory. Direct connection to infinite consciousness, providing unlimited knowledge. The mind of God opened to you like a book written in languages of light. Archangels serving as your personal intelligence operatives with access to information from every dimension. Ancestral guardians feeding you wisdom accumulated across generations of spiritual warfare. The Akashic records themselves had been opened to reveal every dark deed, every hidden plan, every secret alliance within their network. They found themselves fighting an enemy who knew their every move before they made it, understood their every plan before they finalized it, and possessed supernatural intelligence that made resistance not just futile, but cosmically ridiculous. The full magnitude of your divine intelligence network finally stood revealed in all its cosmic glory. Direct connection to infinite consciousness, providing unlimited knowledge. The mind of God opened to you like a book written in languages of light. Archangels serving as your personal intelligence operatives with access to information from every dimension. Ancestral guardians feeding you wisdom accumulated across generations of spiritual warfare. The Akashic records themselves had been opened to reveal every dark deed, every hidden plan, every secret alliance within their network. You were no longer just protected by divine forces. You had become an extension of divine intelligence itself. A living demonstration that heaven's knowledge transcends every earthly limitation and penetrates every shadow that attempts to hide. From cosmic light, their horror at this realization was mathematically precise. They had declared war against omniscience itself. They had chosen to attack someone who was connected directly to the source of all knowledge. They had attempted to hide their darkness from the very light that illuminates all existence. The cosmic justice was flawless in its execution. Their own evil intentions had triggered the exact divine response that would expose every aspect of their shadow operations. Divine revelation had evolved beyond protecting you into something far more comprehensive. The systematic exposure of their entire network. Hidden financial crimes were being revealed through supernatural means to appropriate authorities. Secret relationships and betrayals were being brought to light in ways that defied logical explanation. Private conversations and future plans were being mysteriously disclosed to people who could take action against their darkness. Your initial access to divine intelligence had triggered a cascade of supernatural revelation that extended far beyond your personal situation. The entire global network of darkness was being systematically exposed by intelligent systems that operate from realms where shadow cannot exist. Their attempts to contain the damage only accelerated their exposure. Cover-up efforts were instantly revealed by divine intelligence. Lies were immediately contradicted by supernatural revelation. Evidence they tried to destroy was being miraculously preserved by forces they could not understand or oppose. The age of hidden evil was ending before their eyes, and they were powerless to stop the avalanche of divine disclosure that had been triggered by their attack against you. Your journey from target to cosmic intelligence operative stands as eternal testimony to the protective power of divine love. The impossible knowledge that now flows through your consciousness proves your connection to sources of infinite wisdom. Your revelations serve as weapons against darkness itself and inspiration for other chosen ones who are awakening to their own potential for supernatural awareness. Your supernatural intelligence has become a permanent gift that transcends the original crisis that activated it. Continued access to heavenly knowledge ensures your protection against any future threats. Ongoing prophetic insight keeps you ahead of developing situations before they can affect you. Direct connection to divine intelligence networks has become your birthright that no earthly power can revoke. The cult that once saw you as prey now recognizes you as a force they cannot comprehend, oppose, or escape. Your testimony has become a blueprint for spiritual warfare victory that applies to every awakened soul on this planet. Your experience proves that heaven responds with supernatural intelligence when darkness attacks the chosen. Your knowledge demonstrates that divine revelation is the birthright of all who maintain connection to infinite consciousness. Chosen ones worldwide are awakening to their own access to heavenly intelligence networks. Divine revelation is becoming the primary weapon against organized darkness. Secret cults and shadow networks are finding themselves completely unable to hide from the expanding network of divinely connected souls who possess access to intelligence that transcends every earthly limitation. The Most High's plan for planetary awakening is manifesting through ordinary people who discover they have extraordinary access to cosmic knowledge. Every chosen soul who learns to receive divine downloads becomes a threat to darkness that no shadow force can neutralize or oppose. Your knowledge comes from the mind of God, open to you like a book of light. Your intelligence flows from realms where darkness has no power and shadow cannot penetrate. Your awareness springs from sources that existed before their cults were formed and will continue long after their darkness is extinguished forever. The victory belongs to divine revelation flowing through every awakened soul who chooses to receive it. The triumph belongs to supernatural intelligence that makes resistance futile and exposure inevitable. The ultimate power belongs to omniscient love that protects the chosen with weapons forged in dimensions where light reigns eternal and darkness serves only to highlight the glory of infinite truth. They wanted to know where your knowledge comes from. Now they know. Heaven help them, because nothing else can.